Hello and welcome to another edition of the AAA Ask the Attorney Anything. I'm Rebecca Zung and I'm so happy that you're here. And I see that we already have lots and lots of questions and lots of people waiting. So I'm really looking forward to connecting with you all. I love connecting with all of you in this way so that I can actually answer your questions in real time. So if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, now is a good time to do that. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Rebecca Zung, and I have been recognized as one of the top 1% of attorneys in the nation. And I also have written a couple of books, Negotiate Like You Matter and Breaking Free, a Step-by-Step Divorce Guide. But most importantly, what I really do now is help you escape relationships from narcissists. Not just say, okay, here's what a narcissist looks like, and here's a definition of a narcissist. I give you some of that as well, but I really give you step-by-step actual guidance from an attorney on how to strategize, create leverage, and actually escape these relationships. So that's what I do for you here on my channel. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. And I'm going to start going ahead and going through some of the questions. I would love to know where you are all tuning in from too, by the way. I love to see that. I have had people who have recently reached out to me from literally all over the world, Lebanon and Japan and Iran or Iran and Norway and the UK and South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, and every state in the United States, Canada. So it's really, I want you to know that because I think it's most important for you all to understand that narcissism is a global pandemic. It's everywhere. No one is potentially immune. I see Sherry here from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and somebody, LE from Houston, and Karen from Southern California. I see people from April from Georgia. So, and somebody from Florida, Louisiana, lots of people from the United States here today. So I'm going to go through your questions. So Phyllis is asking, how is a value and appreciation added to my premarital assets? Do you just allow for a certain amount of compounding interest over the years in a marriage? So first of all, I want to reiterate that I am not licensed in every state and in every jurisdiction and all over the world. And so I'm not giving you legal advice here. I'm going to give you my thoughts. If you need specific legal advice, I recommend that you get a lawyer in your particular jurisdiction. So these are my thoughts as an attorney. So with regard to appreciation, that's really going to be something that your specific state law is going to dictate. But in general, I can tell you that it kind of depends on the asset that you're talking about. If you're talking about a home, it's probably going to be looked at differently than the appreciated value on a retirement account, for example. So let's say you had a 401k and you had a certain amount in there on the date of marriage. In that case, depending upon your state law, it may be that they will allow for whatever the appreciated growth was on that particular asset during the marriage. But what you would do is you would actually have a financial planner help you with that, because the financial planner would be able to tell you what the statutory rate of growth would have been on those particular assets during that particular period of time. So, and then you would carve that off as your premarital if your state allows for that. If it's a home, it's looked at differently. Marital homes or real estate, it's often looked at differently than a 401k, for example. If it's a regular account, like a regular bank account, and there was an appreciated value in there, arguably, depending on the state, your state law, it's probably commingled, and it may not be anything. There may not be anything that you can carve off in that particular case. So it really just depends on the asset itself and how it is looked at, and it also depends on your particular state law when it comes to that. So, so that is that. Hello, Corey from Winnipeg, Canada, and hi, Catherine from Richmond, Texas. I'm going to go through here and try to answer a couple more questions while we're on the call here. Let's see. Let's see. What can be done if you learn years later that your ex-narc started a business during your marriage without your knowledge and hid assets in it and did not claim that business during your divorce? That's a question from Michelle. So it depends, again, on your particular state law with regard to how long of a period of time you have until you can go back to reopen a final judgment and reopen a divorce case. But oftentimes, state laws do provide that you can reopen a case if there was fraud involved. And so this would be fraudulent, where it wasn't just like an after discovered asset or something like that. It was actually fraud, something that was intentionally concealed. And it would have to be something that you wouldn't have been able to find out during the discovery process of the divorce. So in other words, if he started this business, but you could have very easily figured out that he did start this business by looking at, I don't know, the records in your state or something like that, then the courts may not see that as something that you couldn't have discovered, even if he intentionally concealed it. So it really just kind of depends on your particular state law, but there sometimes, a lot of times, if a certain amount of time has passed, like a year or something like that, then they will not allow you to go back and reopen those cases. But I know for Florida, for example, if it was for fraud, if there was fraud involved, then there's actually no statute of limitations on reopening those divorce cases. And in general, basically, courts want to keep the divorce cases closed. They don't want people to keep going back and relitigating because most of the time people have regrets when it comes to their divorce cases. A lot of times people think, oh, I got a raw deal or whatever. So they make it really, really hard to reopen divorce cases for that reason. But if there was truly fraud involved, that may be grounds in your particular state to reopen that case. So good question from Michelle. Let's see who else I can answer. Let's see, I have time to maybe answer like one more question. Aurora is asking, can I keep my husband's health insurance in a divorce? Generally not. Generally, you cannot stay on a spouse's health insurance policy. You'd have to look at the particular policy, but generally not. Generally, what I tell my clients is that becomes part of your alimony claim if you have a claim for alimony. So, depending on whether or not you're eligible for any kind of alimony or spousal support, what you would do is go find out how much health insurance would be, what the monthly premium is going to be for your health insurance, and then add that to your claim for how much you're going to need to be able to live on for spousal support. So generally, you can't stay on a spouse's health insurance after divorce, and that's not even usually something that can that the spouse even can control. Usually it's something that's dictated by the health insurance company themselves. But I will say that I have had some people be able to stay like on a company policy. Let's say the husband or the wife owns a particular business and that business provides health insurance through the company. That I've seen people where they keep the person on as an employee of some sort or whatever, and they continue to give them a health insurance benefit through the company that way. That's the only other thing that I've seen. So that is that. And let's see if I can answer maybe one more real quick. Hold on. Hi, Dee Dee. It says, hi, Rebecca, New Jersey loves you. I'm so happy to hear that. And Dee Dee's question is there any way to include attorney's fees at all during a civil case? We're up near 20,000 and haven't hit trial yet. In civil cases, as in family law cases, attorney's fees are usually driven by a statute. So it's not something that you could just ask for unless there's some sort of a statutory component, a law that allows for attorney's fees where you could ask for them. Sometimes you can ask for them under case law, especially if it's like for, baseless, meritless, harassing claims where somebody's over litigating. And in those cases, sometimes it's maybe driven by case law. But if and especially in a civil case, it's usually going to be a statutory attorney's fees claim. So you'll have to look to see what your statute provides for in your particular case. So let's see. 15 months of post-separation litigation. Ex-narcissist held in contempt, order to pay my fees. When wins like this occur, what are the chances the ex-narcissist is done? So, Joelle, you never know when it comes to a narcissist. If there's still some supply to be gotten from you, they may come back. But sometimes they do move on if there's no supply left to be taken from you. So unfortunately, it's all driven by narcissistic supply. That's what narcissists are about. So anyway, I am going to be jumping on over to my Facebook page. So if you haven't liked my Facebook page, now's a good time to do that. And then after that, I'm going to jump over to my Instagram page. So if I didn't get to your question, come on over and join me in my Facebook Live right now. It's at Rebecca Zung, top 1% attorney, narcissist negotiation expert. Like my page, come join me on my page because I'm going to be answering more questions over there. And if you haven't subscribed yet or liked this video, give me a like, give it a share, drop me a comment. And make sure that you've subscribed to my channel. So I will see you in my Facebook Live in about 30 seconds. So come on over and join me over there if I didn't get to answer your question. Thanks so much for joining me today.